Welcome to the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Blond, and this is Season 2, Episode 18, the Over Undies and the Props version of the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast. Welcome back for those who are, really loyal listeners, and I appreciate you all. I thank you very much for tuning in each episode, showing the support for our little business here, and we hope to make this grow as, just like you, I'm a sports bettor. I'm not in Vegas. I'm not situated somewhere, where I got a 24/7 job of doing betting and, looking at lines and et cetera. So I praise the ones that do. Good for you. And I definitely watch and look out for information that can help me win on a Sunday. But this is for you, the average bettor out there looking to improve, looking to get some tips, looking to get good conversation about what each other is taking. And what I'd like to do is hear from you on social media, especially on Twitter, aka X. If Overrated EXPER2, that's for the Overrated Experience, of course. Overrated EXPER2, also in the link within this episode from your podcast provider. And we also talk sports in general. We also talk outside of football, but not now because it's NFL season. So be ready for anything. I could throw anything at you as far as what kind of podcast we're going to put out there. If you look back at the history, we cover a lot of things, and we have guests on it periodically. Right now, today, I'm running solo, so we're going to kick it off. Like I said, this is the episode 18, and it focuses on Week 9 picks in the NFL related to over-unders. We call them undies, if you pick the undies, and then also props. Player props, team props, whatever it is. We usually make a few picks. So, as we get into that, I first want to say congratulations to the Texas Rangers, the World Series champions. Didn't lose a game on the road in the playoffs, which is outstanding. And I will give credit to Asta from Ajax. He literally reached out. He went out of his way to tell me that he believed that the Rangers were a Super Bowl. Well, that'd be an amazing prediction. They're a World Series contender. They were going to win. He thought this team's going to win it. This team's going to win it. All right, and I kind of brushed him off and said, "Look, I think the Rangers are an up-and-coming team. I think they got a few little holes in the pitching staff, regardless when they signed DeGrom. Maybe this was kind of their year to make a run in the playoffs, but fall short. I was wrong. You were right. I will continue to think I'm right on the Sam Howell. Won't stick around in Washington too long to look for another starting quarterback. And Russell Wilson is pitiful, and I hate when people compare stats. Russell Wilson versus Patrick Mahomes. The eye test tells you that Russell Wilson is on the back nine of his career, and he's probably in the rough on hole 16. That's near the end of his career. He is. So congratulations to the Texas Rangers. Kudos to you, Austin from Ajax. Good prediction. But I digress. We move on. And we move on to the NFL. That's why we're here. That's why you're here. And that's why we're all here. And that's what makes the fall, especially these cold weather countries like mine, Canada, bearable for a few months. Sports, keeps you warm when the outside doesn't. So last week, for over-unders, we took 5. We were 4-1. We were 4-1. What a great week. Our percentage is up to 59%, so 40 games looked at, 23 games won, 16 games lost, 1 game push. Now keep in mind, to be truly transparent here, as I make my picks on the Overrated Experience Sports Betting Podcast each episode, but I also, add more bets in, which is the stupidest thing I could possibly do. That tells you I'm not a professional because of the patience. I don't have patience. I do like the action. So I do add on more as we approach Sunday. So I would like to be more successful. I'd love to have a 59% winning record if I just stuck to what I provided here on the podcast, but I don't do that. And I bet you don't do that either. And that's why you listen to this podcast, because I am just like you. So 59% for the over-under. 54.1% now over for the year for the props, and we were 5-2 last week. Some great movement there. Good insight. I felt to read the board right. I felt good. And if you want to look back at the picks against the spread, look back at episode 17 of season 2, and you can see that we went 9-6-1 out of the 16 games. So we had a solid week. and I hope you did too. And we're going to go into over-unders this week, and I'm going to give you some plays that I think are no-brainers and of value. And we're going to kick it off in Germany, and that is the Miami Dolphins. Kansas City, 9:30 a.m. for you those in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. Over-under 50.5, minus 115. What do we got here? What do we got here? We got Tyreek Hill facing his old team. We have a Miami team that is coming off a big win over New England. They got back to their high-octane offense. And the Miami Dolphins are buck wild. They don't slow down. Mike McDaniels' offense, Tua, Hill, Waddle, both over 100 yards receiving last week against New England. They did turn the ball over a couple times, did force that game over, gave New England opportunities, and they did capitalize in certain for field goals and points. But what are we going to get in this game? Kansas City coming off a horrible game against Denver, didn't do too much. Patrick Mahomes had a quote-unquote flu or cold, whatever it was. So what are we going to get here? That's overseas. I got to believe it's going to be a high-scoring game. And here's why. I don't believe that Miami does anything but score points or keep getting the ball into their top players' hands, and that includes, obviously, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. That does not change, and that doesn't change for anybody. They do not negotiate based on the team they're playing. They are who they are, and that is the Miami Dolphins that throw the ball downfield, timing plays. Each play is absolutely a timing play, and everybody's on the same page for the most part. And what do you got for Kansas City? Kansas City has struggled to really be that run-and-gun team we're used to. A lot of weapons have been taken away. They've been more cerebral, I would say, as far as more cerebral when it comes to how they score their points. Obviously, Travis Kelce has been their main weapon. But what I would say to this is that I think this is going to force Kansas City to put the ball in the air, work faster, put points on the board. I think Mahomes is going to be up for the challenge. 50.5, I think, is way too low for these two teams. Mahomes is going to go on Sunday. He's going to go in Germany. He's going to light it up. He's going to find new weapons. He's going to make, Travis Kelce look good like they both do with each other on the field. So I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to break out. They're going to explode in Germany. I don't know who wins this game. I did take the Dolphins in the earlier show. But so that tells you I do know who wins that game. So tune in. It shouldn't have been a spoiler there. But I think this is going to be an explosive game. There's going to be a show in Frankfurt. Oktoberfest is over. Here we go. That's 9:30. Love it. Don't you love? I would love to hear your thoughts on a 9:30 game. Who doesn't want to wake up, grab a coffee, just look at the lines, have that 9:30 game going? This is a big live in game bet as well. There's going to be a lot going on in this game. Love it. All right. So next game, which is kind of maybe a snooze fest at 1 o'clock, the LA Rams head into Green Bay. They take on the Cheeseheads. That is the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love has been struggling to put points on the board. This whole team struggles to put points, especially in the first half. I was going to come to the table with a bet, again, like I did last week, for an under in the first half. I looked at it, 19.5. I just couldn't do it. Just could not do it because I would get screwed. This would be but a 38.5 for the entire game. I do not like many points in this game, and I just don't see Green Bay exploding, and we don't know what the health is of Matthew Stafford. Stafford has a bum thumb, and even if he plays, how healthy is he going to be, and how much is he going to be slinging the ball? So 38.5 with the way Green Bay's playing, and with the lack of a quarterback, Rippon is the backup he might play. I just don't see how there's going to be a lot of points on the board and long, boring drives. I don't even have to be many highlights on red zone. If red zone was punting, this would be all over for 3 hours. That's what's going to happen. So under 38.5. Washington Commanders, New England Patriots. I mean, it looks like Washington's given up. They obviously traded Chase Young and Montez Sweat, two defensive stars away, and you got to believe that Ron Rivera is toast. And I think the Commanders are going to go a different direction. I'm sorry, Austin Ajax, but Sam Howell is not going to be the guy. The only thing that's going to save Sam Howell is, if when all said and done, is that their draft position is not in a good spot to guarantee or put them in a high percentage to pick up one of the top collegiate quarterbacks that are in a deep NFL draft this upcoming draft. So Sam Howell will run around like he always does. He'll get sacked 5 times. He may jack up 300 yards. Like he almost had 400 yards against the Eagles in a losing scenario. So they may win or lose, but the Patriots suck too. But they've been putting up points. So I think 40.5 is based on the reputation of the Patriots, reputation of the Commanders. But when you put these two poor teams together, I do see some magic when it comes to points. So let's see what we get out of these two teams, but I'm going to think it's going over 40.5. Now moving on to another snooze fest. Daniel Jones returns for the New York Giants, and they take on the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders, after I'd finished the podcast, woke up on Wednesday morning, turfed Josh McDaniels, and he's done in Las Vegas. So not shockingly, Josh McDaniels maybe did you know there's a rumor that Josh McDaniels may come back to the Patriots as a defensive coordinator? First of all, he leaves the Patriots as an offensive coordinator, head coach for the Raiders, and comes back potentially as a defensive coordinator. That tells you how messed up and out of date Bill Belichick is now in New England. Absolutely terrible idea, dumbest idea if they actually does it. But I digress. I move back. You got Aiden O'Donnell for the Raiders, going to be starting. Garoppolo's been benched. Do you really see points? I mean, Daniel Jones, before he left, couldn't throw the ball straight down the field. It was always left, right, left, right, left. So why is it going to change here? Nate O'Connell, who knows what you got there? So 40.5, way too high. 37.5, way too high. We're going undies. We're going tighty whities on this one. Way under. LA Chargers, New York Jets. This is an interesting matchup. Chargers coming off big win on Sunday night against the Bears, which we could all guarantee that was going to happen. But also, you have the Jets who had a big win against the Giants. They scraped out a win, but it was a big win. Don't get me wrong. And what the Jets are, is they are a defensive powerhouse. And you got the Chargers that are an inconsistent offense. They're not playing the Bears this week. They're playing the goddamn New York Giants. Holy crap, man. It's late. Too late. The Jets. They're playing the Jets. Jets. I almost spelled out Giants. That tells you how late and tired I am. So the Jets, Chargers, 40.5. Do you go over or do you go under? And I get flashbacks of Wilson for the Jets, quarterback, on third downs against the Giants. And I can't, forget what I've seen for the majority of that game and can't just look at the end where he came up with some clutch throws. This is going to be a grind out type of game. The Chargers are not going to move the ball like they did against the Bears, against this Jets defense. And as long as the Jets stay in this game, they're not going to make Zach Wilson the prime focal of this offense. It's going to be Breece Hall and limited short passes with the opportunity maybe in the fourth quarter behind to maybe unload. So I'm going to say this game is also going under 40.5. So to recap, which is embarrassing because the majority of these are unders. And I'm sorry because it's called the Overrated Experience with the emphasis on over. But I'm not going that way here. So the Sunday morning game, I am 50.5 over Miami KC. But I start with the unders in the Los Angeles Rams taking on Green Bay in Green Bay under 38.5. Washington, New England over 40.5, so I'm back on track there. But unders in the Giants Vegas game under 37.5, and under in the Charger Jet game on Monday night 40.5 minus 115. I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed, but that's the reality. I got to try to pick winners here. All right, so we move on to the prop side. But just before we kick off the props, I do want to talk about the Thursday nighter. And on Tuesday, I gave a pick in this game. I had said the Steelers by 2.5. Now, like a dummy, I waited to actually take the number. So I actually took the Steelers at 3 points. And that's the key here, guys. And I got to follow my own advice. You got to find line value. If you see something on Tuesday or Monday or Wednesday, and that's the reason why that line stands out to you as a value line. you don't know what's going to happen if you wait. Now, again, it could fall in your favor. Maybe that line could have went the other way. Maybe Kenny Pickett is ruled out and Trubisky starting, and maybe it's 1.5, and bam, I get the value there. However, when I looked at that 2.5, I saw value, and I waited too long. I got it at 3. This game ended with the Steelers winning 20-16. Don't get me wrong. I'll take the money. I'll take the win. But I almost made a big mistake. This game was tight. The way I read this going into the game would be that the Steelers would win this game. The Steelers would cover the 2.5. And I thought that the idea of Will Levis would be the fact that, he put himself in a game last week where he had 4 touchdown passes. However, he now put, film on himself, and the Steelers, at least in a short time period, could, drop a game plan to slow him down and make him look like a rookie. I'll tell you who looked like a rookie. Kenny Pickett looked like a goddamn rookie tonight, right? Despite the win. I was impressed with Will Levis today. And you know what he showed me and the way the Titans played is if this is the real Will Levis, that they got a quarterback here, man. They got a goddamn quarterback. He was 22 for 39, 262 as far as passing yards. The only pick he threw was right at the end where they had to put the ball in the end zone. So I'm not going to throw that on him. He got sacked 4 times, but I had to look at this. I watched this entire game. I'm seeing 4 sacks. It doesn't even seem like there was 4 sacks. And the way he played, he stood in the pocket. And quarterbacks, when they're on, they just know how long to wait in the pocket. The pressure is on, and they wait to either find that open receiver for big yardages like he did many times in this game and key plays. And you're wondering how the hell the Pittsburgh secondary leave this guy open for key first downs, all over the game. Like this happened all throughout the game. He had one screen pass to Derrick Henry where he turns around to turn that screen pass. Somebody's in his face. He lets it go right to Derrick Henry for a big. It was great. Like he looked great out there. He's got a bullet of an arm. He's got a short release, so it doesn't take a long wind up. He's got a lot going on for him. He has a lot going on for him, and then as the game went on, Derrick Henry started to become more of a factor, and then because Levi is on his game and he's hanging in the pocket, flag, holding, the receivers have the defenders start holding the receivers. So you have the quarterback play, big throws, Derrick Henry, and then you have flags that are a formula for success for an offense. Now it happened that Pittsburgh stepped up, running game, some big catches. Hey, you know what? Kenny Pickett later in the game had a couple big throws. Big throw on 3rd down late in the game there, and just stuck, the Titans at the end there with very little time. Come up with a couple big plays, in the last hurrah for the Titans, but just impressed. I'm curious to see where this goes, and they may have a quarterback. They can't go with Ryan Tannehill. Like, Tannehill is nothing, garbage. You got to run it with Will Levis, and maybe he's the guy, maybe he's not, but you got to run it for the rest of the season. You may have something here. Impressed. I think I'm saying Levis, but I mean Levi, Will Levi. So, impressive showing on Thursday Night Football. Interesting. Will Levi. Yeah, Will Levi. I don't know why I'm messing up genes. He's got good genes, I guess. But moving on to props. Again, we had a good week last week. We're hoping to keep it running here. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep it going. So I'm going to kick it off. Normally when you hear Miami, I'm taking Tyreek Hill over receiving yards. And I do like him in this game to have a lot of receiving yards. But I've looked at Jalen Waddle's 67.5 receiving yards and looked at his explosive 100, whatever it was, 30, 40 yards, 140 yards last week. And you got to believe there's going to be a string of games or Tua is finding Waddle to keep him interested as well. So 67.5 I think is way too low, and I like that to go over. Derek Carr, I've been bashing Derek Carr. I've been looking at Derek Carr as a good signing for New Orleans. First half of the season, or first half of whatever the season is so far, he's been horrible. But the last 3 games, he's been plus 300. 3 games in a row, passing yards. He's starting to use his weapons, and they got an embarrassment of riches on the side. With Kamara, Thomas, and Olave, and a lot of other weapons here. And they're starting to throw the goddamn ball, and that's what they need to do. Keep it simple. Put it in your players' hands. Let them do their damage. And that's what Derek Carr's been doing. They're going run and gun. They'll bring in Taysom Hill when the opportunity arises. But 245.5 for Derek Carr, who's thrown over 300 yards the last 3 games. That's insulting. Let's take it. And you know what? That's going way over. So Derek Carr is your boy. All right, so we have Atlanta has made a quarterback change. Desmond Ridder is out, or at least on the bench. He's not out. He's going to be, he's on the sidelines. And Taylor Heinicke is in. Taylor Heinicke is a veteran quarterback. He's not their answer, but he's going to be their answer this week, and he's going to be in. And I like the fact that he's going against Minnesota. I don't know what Minnesota is going to be. Their defense has been actually very good the last few weeks, but their offense is taking a hit with no Kirk Cousins. Taylor Heinicke came in relief for Desmond Ridder, still threw 75 yards against the Tennessee Titans in a losing cause. But you tell me his over-under is 214.5, that they're not going to throw the ball. I know the Arthur Smith, coach of the Falcons, has not maximized his running game with Bijan Robinson, etc. So I don't think it starts now. I think he uses Taylor Heinicke to light up the opposition. So 214.5, you take the over. Now, going on to a game where I'm looking at Indianapolis and Carolina, and I'm wondering what are we going to get here? We're going to get a lot of running. That's what I think. I think the Colts are sick of turning the ball over. Gardner Minshew has turned the ball over a lot. And guess what? The Jonathan Taylor train is starting to rev up. And I looked at his over-under for rushing yards, and they got 63.5. He just ran for 95 yards and 12 carries. And the game before that, he had 75 yards with 18 carries. They're going to start feeding him the rock. He is going to be the guy. They didn't pay him to sit on the sidelines. And against Carolina, here we go, baby. So 63.5. Take the over, Jonathan Taylor. Heading into Philadelphia, Dallas, that's the big game at 4 o'clock. How can you not take a prop with A.J. Brown and the Eagles? A.J. Brown has been the guy. He demands the ball, whether the Eagles are winning or losing. He wants the rock. And for the last few weeks, the Eagles have been feeding this guy, feeding him the rock. So I look at anytime touchdown, plus 110. I love it. I'm taking it. He scored 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. He's going to be a focal point. There's times in the year where you have different guys they're going to be targeting. It's A.J. Brown's going to be targeted all the time, but especially now. They're just going to throw it up. Jalen Hurts, he's going to come down with it, like he did with that one-handed touchdown last week in Washington. A.J. Brown. We move on. Aiden O'Connell, quarterback, Las Vegas Raiders. Ugh. You know what I like here is I like an interception, because the marching orders by new coach Pierce is to throw the ball down the field to Davante Adams. They're going to try to force feed Davante Adams and make him happy. They should have been making him happy. They should have been targeting him, but they're going to force feed it. And Aiden O'Connell, a rookie, is going to get picked at least once in this game. And his interceptions over 0.5 is minus 120, which is great value. Last but not least, we have the Buffalo-Cincinnati Sunday Nighter. Awesome matchup. And I'm going to take a chance that this game is going to be a lights-out scoring fest, and that both quarterbacks are going to want to impress. Joey Burrow has been putting the ball in the air to his weapons. I see a 300-plus game here. Josh Allen, offense has been struggling of late, but I see him up for the challenge. 547.5, nothing. That's going over in passing yards, minus 115. All right. And I'm going to recap the props here. So Miami, Kansas City got Jalen Waddle over receiving yards, 67.5. Derek Carr over 245.5 passing yards for the Saints. Also quarterback play, passing yards over 214.5 is Taylor Heinicke, new starting quarterback for the Falcons. Over is rushing yards for Jonathan Taylor and the Colts, and that is 63.5 yards. Philadelphia wide receiver A.J. Brown, anytime touchdown plus 110. Las Vegas quarterback Aiden O'Connell, interception over 0.5 minus 120. Buffalo Cincinnati over 547.5 passing yards at minus 115. So there you have it. I'm going to say the pleasure's all yours, but I'm also going to throw what I've noticed. And maybe it's for you young people out here, you can tell us old guys, is that traditionally, if you say thank you to somebody, I thank you, I appreciate you. Thank you, appreciate you opening that door. Thank you for that coffee you just made me. Thank you for, the service you provided me. Are we hearing, what's the spread on the number of times you hear you're welcome versus no worries? No worries is starting to creep up. It's just still a recognition of your thank you. But I'm just curious what everybody else thinks. I heard that today and clicked in, man. I'm hearing that a lot. Hey, thanks for that coffee. No worries. Is that the new thank you? Ponder that for a bit, all right? So the Overrated Experience, again, is on Twitter at Overrated EXPER2 and also Instagram, Facebook. Please join us. The links are within the podcast information. So that's it. I wish you the best of luck. Pass on the word. Get this podcast out there. It's for us, all of us. And I hope your weekend is a successful one. And I'm hoping you're cashing out by Monday. That's it. We're over and we're out.